Over the long run of The Simpsons, and especially during the show's golden era between the early to late 90s, the show made numerous references to classic films, especially the work of Alfred Hitchcock. Such tributes have taken many forms, from shot-to-shot recreations of iconic scenes to throwaway jokes to direct references to Hitchcock himself. As of July 2023, by far, the best homage that The Simpsons have ever done to the filmmaker is the first episode of the 6th season, Bart of Darkness, which first aired in September 1994. Pretty much the entire episode pays respect to Hitchcock's classic 1954 film Rear Window about an incapacitated man who believes that he may have witnessed his neighbor commit a crime.
Let's start from the beginning again, Jeff. Tell me everything you saw.
In the Simpsons version, Bart breaks his leg, and, while alone in his room with a telescope, he believes he witnesses Flanders confess to a crime.
I'm a diddly hurdler!
It's hard to imagine that The Simpsons will ever top this tribute to Hitchcock. But they did come close with Night of the Dolphin from Treehouse of Horror 11, the first episode of the 12th season, which first aired in November 2000. In the third segment of the installment, Dolphins rise up against humankind in a story that serves as both a parody and a tribute to one of Hitchcock's greatest pieces of work. After taking pity on the star attraction of Springfield's Marine World, a dolphin named Snorky, who's forced to perform stunts for the crowd's amusement, Lisa sets the animal free. Unbeknownst to her, Snorky is actually king of the dolphins, and soon organizes other dolphins into an army before declaring war on humanity. The dolphins attack Springfield. They first kill Lenny while he's out night swimming, then attack the sea captain before marching towards town on their tails. Other Springfield citizens are killed, including the squeaky-voiced teen and Grandpa, before Snorky interrupts a town meeting, taking the stage and revealing that he's capable of speaking. He tells Springfield that dolphins used to live on the land but were banished to the ocean by humans. Now, the dolphins want to send all of humankind to the sea. The humans refuse to submit without a fight, so a battle ensues with casualties on both sides, though Springfield citizens seem to have the upper hand.
Come on, lads! Let's drive them back to the ocean!
However, it's later revealed that the humans lost the war and have indeed been driven into the ocean.
Well, you gotta hand it to those dolphins. They just wanted it more.
After the final edit of the segment, there were a number of scenes left on the cutting room floor. One featured Ralph harassing Snorky at the start of the segment, underscoring how tragic the animal's life has been.
He likes that!
Yeah, let's go wash that thing.
Later, during the fight sequence, Dr. Hibbert fights off the dolphins using hypodermic needles, while Moe puts gasoline down a dolphin's blowhole before lighting it. And when the dolphin explodes, it's revealed that it was the dolphin that ate Grandpa as he's set free by the explosion. The segment was later referenced in the Simpsons game released in October 2007. In one sequence, Bart and Lisa help the sea captain fight mind-controlled dolphins that are attacking the Springfield Aquarium. The Night of the Dolphin segment was written by Caroline Omine. At the time, she'd only officially written one installment of the series, the 10th episode of the 11th season, Little Big Mom, when Lisa is left in charge of the family, which first aired in January 2000. The installment was well received by fans and critics alike and is best remembered as the origin of Stupid Sexy Flanders.
Nothing at all! Nothing at all! Stupid sexy Flanders!
The segment was directed by Matthew Nastic, who had previously only co-directed 3 episodes of the series, though all of them were relatively well received, including the Christmas episode Grift of the Magi, the 9th episode of the 11th season, when a toy company purchases Springfield Elementary just to use the students as a focus group, which first aired in December 1999. And Make Room for Lisa, the 16th episode of the 10th season, when Lisa goes on a spiritual journey via a sensory deprivation tank, which first aired in February 1999.
Oh my gosh! I've entered the body of our cat!
Despite the relative inexperience of both Omine and Nastic, the end result of their work is a perfect blend of the various novels and films that the segment set out to pay respect to. At its core, Night of the Dolphin is an amalgamated tribute to Alfred Hitchcock's 1963 classic film The Birds and the 1973 movie Day of the Dolphin, both of which revolve around the premise of nature turning against humankind. The Birds is based on the 1952 short story of the same name by Daphne du Maurier about a series of sudden, inexplicably violent bird attacks on people over the course of just a few days. In the film, the story revolves around a socialite and a lawyer as the bird attacks quickly escalate throughout their town. After various violent encounters with the animal, the movie ends with the two, along with a few other survivors, leaving the town, though they have little hope of survival as radio reports had earlier detailed other similar bird attacks in nearby communities. Beyond major aspects of the plot, the Simpsons segment also features a direct tribute to the Birds with the scene outside the town meeting when the Dolphins are practically everywhere, which is a parody of a similar scene from the feature film. Additionally, prior to the Night of the Dolphins segment, The Simpsons had referenced the Birds, specifically the scene where the birds are seemingly everywhere, back in the second episode of the fourth season, A Streetcar Named Marge, which first aired in October 1992. In the installment, Marge gets a starring role in the local theater production, leading her to put Maggie into daycare, where the infant soon proves to be a troublemaker because of her love for a pacifier, which is confiscated. In one scene, after Maggie retrieves her pacifier and gives all the other babies one as well, Homer is unnerved when he sees all of them just sitting there sucking on them. Later, there's also another reference to the Birds in the episode. Hitchcock was famous for putting himself into his own movies for brief blink-and-you-miss-it cameos, and in one establishing shot of A Streetcar Named Marge, Hitchcock can briefly be seen walking his dog, which is a reference to his appearance in The Birds. The Simpsons also reference the Birds in the fourth episode of the sixth season, Itchy and Scratchy Land, when the family go to the titular theme park, the first aired in October 1994. In one scene, after the park's robots turn on the visitors, Marge expresses regret at not going to the bird sanctuary as she had originally planned for the family's vacation. However, a cutaway joke reveals that the birds there have also rebelled against its guests. The Day of the Dolphin is loosely based on the 1967 novel by French author Robert Merrill, which revolves around the idea of training dolphins to communicate with humans and their potential use in warfare, a premise that serves as a satire of the Cold War between America and the Soviet Union and their allies, which spanned from around 1947 to 1991. For the 1973 cinematic adaptation of the novel, the plot was changed significantly. The movie is inspired in part by the work of scientist John Lilly, who specialized in the study of consciousness. He's probably best known for inventing the isolation tank, otherwise known as a sensory deprivation tank. However, he also gained fame for working with dolphins, exploring their intelligence, and experimenting with human-dolphin communication. The story for the Day of the Dolphin film revolves around a scientist and his wife who teach two of their dolphins to communicate in English. Due to the success of the experiment, the animals assume kidnapped by criminals who plan to use the dolphins to assassinate the American president by placing a magnetic limpet mine on his yacht. Instead, one of the dolphins places the explosive on the boat of the criminals before the animals escape into the ocean. Although it's not a direct reference, the idea of dolphins turning on humans had actually been addressed in an earlier episode of The Simpsons, Boy Scouts in the Hood, the 8th episode of the 5th season, which first aired in November 1993. In the installment, Bart joins an outdoor adventure group, which results in him, Homer, and the Flanders getting stranded at sea. And at one point they get taunted by a group of dolphins after Flanders mistakenly assumes that the animals always help people in need. Also, during the scene in which Snorky makes his speech at the town meeting, it's revealed that he's fluent in English. However, before that, there's a fake-out joke about his voice.
Snorky, talk, man.
The joke, specifically the way he talks, is a direct reference to Day of the Dolphin and how the dolphins in the film speak. Not the Day of the Dolphin and the Birds were the only movies that Night of the Dolphin paid tribute to. In addition to Day of the Dolphin and the Birds, there are numerous other film references threaded throughout Night of the Dolphin. Predictably, given the premise of the segment of sea creatures turning against humankind, Night of the Dolphin pays respect to the classic 1975 film Jaws, based on the 1974 book of the same name, when a shark terrorizes a beachside town. Lenny's death while swimming at night is an homage to the opening scene of the film when a woman is skinny dipping. The scene in which Snorky jumps to freedom in slow motion is a parody of the iconic scene from the 1993 film Free Willy about an orphan boy who befriends a captive orca. Other less obvious references include the scene in which Grandpa is eaten by a dolphin, which is a reference to the 1987 fantasy slasher film A Nightmare on Elm Street 3: Dream Warriors, when the supernatural serial killer Freddy Krueger turns himself into a snake-like creature and attempts to devour a would-be victim. Willy's death scene, in which he's impaled by a dolphin, is an homage to a death scene in the 1999 film Sleepy Hollow, which is based on the 1820 story by Washington Irving, The Legend of Sleepy Hollow, about a headless horseman who terrorizes a town. In one scene of the film, the headless horseman shoots a harpoon through a church window. The scene in which the dolphin attacks comic book guy by slamming his head and neck into a car door is a reference to the 1980 film Raging Bull, a sports biopic based on the 1970 memoir of boxer Jake LaMotta, Raging Bull, My Story. In one scene of the film, Jake's brother Joey attacks another man using the door of a taxi as a weapon.
Hey!
From the very start of The Simpsons, the show has always loved referencing movies. Early on, especially during the show's golden era, the show frequently paid tribute to classic films, particularly the work of Hitchcock, whether with brief, throwaway jokes or detailed shot-for-shot recreations of iconic scenes. Night of the Dolphin was one of the show's more ambitious homages to the filmmaker. And, by taking the premise of nature turning against humankind and making the animal in question one that was universally loved, The Simpsons captured both the spirit of the birds while giving the trope a morbidly humorous twist that led to a fitting parody tribute to one of the greatest pieces of cinematic work ever produced.
I, King Snorky, hereby banish all humans to the sea.